This passage out of the gospel reading for today is called the Great Commission. And we are indeed commissioned to go out and to make disciples. In fact, the mission statement of the United Methodist Church, some of you may actually say it with me, you don't even realize you're doing it, is to make disciples of Jesus Christ, the transformation of the world. That is a big and a great and a wondrous statement that we can make. And here's the thing. You don't just get to that point and wake up one morning and say, I'm good, I know what that means. I can handle this from here on out. You don't just get up and decide you're going to do that. Jesus had been working on his disciples throughout his entire ministry to get them ready for this moment so that they could go out and they could do this on their own. They could even practice this once. If you all remember, a couple of years ago I preached this, and you probably don't because I've slept since then and barely remember it. But I preached a sermon on this one time when Jesus sent the disciples out in pairs to go out and to tell people about God, and described that as the very first mission trip, because that's what it was. He sent them out to go and do this thing, and then to come back and tell others about what they said, what they found. That was a mission trip, and it was practice for what was still for what was still going to come. All of that was preparation. Now they are ready to go out and do it on their own. However, we can't do that if we are stubbornly holding on to who we were before Jesus. Jesus tells us this on multiple occasions that you can't be the same. What he was sharing with his disciples and those that came to hear him preach was something that was going to turn their world upside down. And how you survive your world being turned upside down, and you along with it, is that you have to have faith. Have faith that Jesus will hold you steady. And what turned the world upside down was what Jesus was preaching and who he was preaching to. It wasn't that he was preaching to one particular group, that he was preaching to all of these folks at the same time. He was preaching to the least, last, lost, lonely, and left out. He was preaching to the marginalized, the overlooked, and the looked down upon. He was preaching to the powerful, to the weak, and to the just getting by. And all of this at the same time, and he was saying to them, you are of value to God. Excuse me. You are a person in your own right, not because of who you are in relationship to anyone else, but because you are God's. He says you are a sinner, but you are also worthy of redemption, not because you managed to check all the boxes and that someone told you to check so that you could be made clean again, but because he says, I give to you my grace. Excuse me. And he says, you will know this is true, because the thing that comes for all of us, no matter who we are in that group of people that we listed, that ultimate consequence of this world is death. Except that Jesus has conquered even death. And that death holds no power over him. Therefore, whatever we may face in this life cannot overcome Jesus. And through him, all of those things cannot overcome us. And so it's no wonder then that we can't just immediately go out and make disciples. If we could just immediately go out and do this, that would be a small faith and a small God. If we need no reflection, if we need no processing, if we need no time to figure out what that means in our lives, that is not a God that is going to transform much. We need a time of renewal. We need a time of rededication. We need the season of Eastertide between Easter and Pentecost to help us understand the upside down world so that we can work to see it as Jesus sees it. What we see the disciples work through during this time is not just a good process for us to follow on our own that will help us overcome our struggles and our problems and the unexpected moments and events of our lives. Ours is not just a personal faith that we have. Jesus doesn't just walk with us, but Jesus walks with all people. So we have to be able to go and to do this work, to understand what it means to make disciples, to listen to God for what that means in this time and in this place. We've spent the last several weeks talking about how the disciples worked through all of the changes in their lives after Easter and in the build-up to Pentecost, to the build-up to this moment of receiving that Great Commission. And even now, even after receiving this, they're still not quite done. Pentecost is still coming. And that is the time when Jesus says, I'm commissioning you to go out and to do this work. And that's good. But you still aren't going to do it on your own. I will send my Holy Spirit to be with you, so that you know that I am with you through all the days, through all the places, through all the events, through all the people that you come across. I will be there with you also. Renewal looks different in every season. Today we're celebrating renewal because of the work that we've done. We've spent a season in renewing and rededicating ourselves through the work that we've been doing on this building, on what we have received and what we have worked on, so that others will receive it from us in the coming generations. And the point is not to have the prettiest or best looking church in town. I'm biased, so I still think we do, but I would have said that before. But in this season of renewal, it is to do the physical work, to do the exercise that we need to be healthy and ready, so that we have the physical fortitude to go and make disciples. So what does the next season look like for us? We don't really know what that looks like yet. But we know what it will have something to do with. It will have something to do with going out from this foundation that we are rededicating today. Going out from this place of renewal to share the good news with all those who are around us. To go out and to share that hope and that promise for a world that needs it, whether they are far away or more than likely they're going to be here right around us. To go and share that good news. Where do we go then to listen for God's voice as He guides us and helps us to know just exactly what that is going to look like? We come to the table. We come to our experience of the sacraments, where we draw closest to Jesus, where we come together as a church, because this is not something we do on our own, but we do together, where we can experience God's grace in ways that open us up to hearing His call in our lives.